Let's talk about that feeling that almost nobody wants to admit they have, yet every single person in a relationship has dealt with it at some point. Jealousy. It's that heavy, sick feeling you get in your stomach when your partner mentions another guy's or girl's name. It's the slight flash of panic when you see them typing on their phone and laughing at a message you can't see. Jealousy is incredibly normal. It happens because when you care about someone, you want them to be yours and only yours. Loyalty is the baseline of any relationship, but there's a massive difference between loving someone so much that you want to protect that relationship and letting a deep-seated insecurity slowly burn the relationship to the ground. This isn't just a teenager problem either. I know grown adults and married couples who have been together for decades who still fight this exact same battle. Today, we're gonna dive into the messy reality of opposite gender friends, where healthy boundaries end and toxic control begins, and the one mindset shift that completely frees your mind from the fear of ever being cheated on. Let's address the elephant in the room. Can guys and girls just be friends when one of them is in a relationship? This is a massive debate online, and everyone seems to have an extreme opinion. On one side, you have people who believe that the second you become a couple, you should completely stop talking to anyone from the opposite gender. The logic goes, I'm your partner. I can fulfill all your emotional and conversational needs, so why do you need another guy or girl in your life? For a long time, I actually agreed with this exact way of thinking. It felt safe, and it felt the easiest way to avoid getting hurt. But let's look at the other side logically. Imagine you start dating someone, and they have a best friend they've known for over 10 years. They grew up together, went to school together, and share a decade of memories. Now imagine you've only been dating this person for, let's say, 3 months, and you look at them one day and say, it's either him or me. Block him on everything. When you look at it clearly, expecting someone to destroy a 10-year friendship to please a person they met a few months ago is kind of ridiculous. You probably wouldn't drop your childhood best friend for a new relationship, so it's unfair to expect your partner to do the same for you. The issue usually isn't the friendship itself, it's the lack of boundaries and inclusion. If your partner has a long-term friend from the opposite gender, a real man doesn't demand them stop being friends. Instead, a real man gets to know the friend. You bring them into the circle. You become friends with them too. If the friendship is truly just a friendship, they will have no problem opening up the circle to you. Listen, there's a distinct, sharp line between setting healthy boundaries that build respect and being a controlling, toxic partner. Healthy boundaries look like this. Agreeing that you won't both hang out alone at night, agreeing to unmute your phones from each other, or asking your partner to stop talking to someone who's clearly flirting with them. Those aren't controlling actions. Those are standard relationship rules that are rooted in mutual respect. Toxic control usually looks something like this. Telling your partner they aren't allowed to make eye contact with a stranger, demanding they block every single person of the opposite gender on Snapchat, or getting mad if a random person on the street asks them for directions and they politely answer. When you try to lock your partner in a mental cage and police their every move, you aren't protecting the relationship. You're showing them that you have zero confidence in yourself. You're telling them, I don't think I'm high value enough to keep you loyal on my own, so I have to force you to stay isolated. Control never creates real loyalty. It only creates resentment. If the only reason your partner stays loyal is because you have them locked down, you don't have a relationship. You have a prisoner. A while back, I found myself in a situation where I was talking to a girl who had a lot of guy friends. It bothered me. It really did. Every time she talked about them, I could feel that familiar, uncomfortable burn of jealousy in my chest. But because I was terrified of looking like a toxic, controlling guy, I made a massive mistake. I stayed completely silent. I didn't say a single word about how I felt. I played it cool, put on a fake smile, and pretended everything was fine. In my head, I thought if I spoke up, she would get annoyed, call me insecure, and leave me for those exact same guy friends. So I just sat there, letting the overthinking eat me alive. What if we get into an argument and she runs straight to them? What if I'm secretly just her second choice? Looking back, staying silent was the absolute worst thing I could have done. The right move is always honest, calm communication. There is a way to speak your mind without being controlling. You don't walk up to them and say, you need to stop talking to them right now. Instead, you sit down, look them in the eye and say something like, hey, I'm just being honest with you. Sometimes it makes me a little uncomfortable when you hang out with all these guys. I'm not gonna tell you who you can be friends with and who you can't, but I'd really love to get to know them so I can feel more comfortable. And I'd appreciate it if we kept certain boundaries clear. If a person truly cares about you, they will listen to your boundaries and adapt because they value your peace of mind. If they dismiss your feelings, mock you, or call you crazy for having normal boundaries, then they are giving you a clear sign that they don't respect you. We also have to acknowledge that our generation is fighting a completely uphill battle when it comes to trust. Every single day, your social media feeds are packed with videos of people talking about how they got cheated on. You scroll through TikTok or Reels and see stories of betrayal, memes about toxic exes, and content that basically normalizes disloyalty. When you consume that kind of media every single day, your brain starts to get deeply paranoid. You start to project other people's broken relationships onto your own partner. You get a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and instead of enjoying the connection, you're constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop. You treat them like a suspect in a crime they haven't even committed yet. This internet-driven paranoia is ruining real love. It makes you constantly anxious, constantly nervous, and constantly checking up on them. And ironically, by smothering your partner with accusations and doubts, you end up pushing them away, creating the exact outcome that you were terrified of in the first place. Stop letting the worst stories on the internet dictate how you view the person sitting right in front of you. So, how do you actually kill the jealousy and find peace of mind? Well, you adapt the very simple, very powerful rule of life. Trust them completely until they give you a concrete reason not to. Think about it logically. If you have a good taste in people and you choose a partner with high morals, self-respect, and a character, they aren't going to cheat on you. But let's play out the worst case scenario that keeps you awake at night. What if you trust them completely and they go behind your back anyway? What if they lie to you and break your heart? Here's the truth you need to hear. If they cheat on you, they clearly were not the person for you. They just sorted themselves out of your life. They proved that they didn't have the integrity, the maturity, or the respect to deserve a place in your future. They saved you from wasting 5, 10, or 20 years of your life on a fake person. Why should you spend your limited energy stressing, tracking locations, and worrying about whether someone is going to break your trust? If they are the right person, your trust will be rewarded with loyalty. If they are the wrong person, they will eventually expose themselves, and you will walk away with your head held high, knowing you acted with honor. Either way, you win. Give your partner the freedom to show who they truly are, and let your peace of mind be untouchable. At the end of the day, the ultimate cure to jealousy isn't actually about tracking your partner or making more rules. It's about building your own self-worth. A lot of times, if we're being completely honest with ourselves, jealousy doesn't come from what our partner is doing. It comes from our own internal insecurities. It comes from looking in the mirror and feeling like you aren't enough. So you constantly live in fear that someone else is going to come along and take what's yours. But when you're actively working on yourself every single day, when you have a vision, when you're building your discipline, when you're taking care of your health, your mind, and your goals, something shifts in you. You stop playing the role of a detective in your relationship. You become so secure about who you are and what you bring to the table that you realize your value doesn't change based on someone else's actions. If someone is lucky enough to have you in their life, they should want to protect that connection just as much as you do. And if they choose to jeopardize it over temporary attention from a guy best friend or some random person at a bar, it's a reflection of their lack of maturity, not the lack of your worth. So stop shrinking yourself to fit a space of constant paranoia. Build a life you're actually proud of. Lock in on your self-respect and let your confidence be your armor. True loyalty cannot be forced through control. It's given freely out of respect for who you are. Focus on becoming the kind of man or woman who doesn't have to beg for loyalty, because your character speaks for itself. I'll see you in the next one, guys.